Uh-oh.
Well, Alicia Baumgardner is in my weight class, so I would think that would be a really, really good fight for the both of us. I think after her steroid scandal, it would be a good way for her to prove herself against somebody who's actually on a skill level enough to challenge her. And for me, I think it would be a really great opportunity to get my name out there even more. A lot of people do know who I am, but I'm nowhere near where I want to be and nowhere near where I'm going to be. And I think that this is a step in the right direction for me, and I think this would be a really good step in a redemption arc for her. So I think that would be a really good fight. But, I mean, other than that, honestly, I'm ready to fight anybody. I've been injured for a while, and I'm just getting back in the gym. I'm just getting back into my groove, and, like, you know, I haven't beat anybody up in a while. So I will beat anybody up right now. I don't care who it is. I will beat anybody up right now.
That is young Zerinia McCoy of the United States, 24 years old, sporting a professional record, 14 wins with 2 losses and no draws, 4 knockouts, having never been knocked out. In 16 professional bouts, calling for a fight with Alicia Baumgardner now that Zerina campaigns at Alicia's weight. Because it's not the other way around. Zerinia McCoy has campaigned anywhere from super flyweight to super lightweight, as low as 115 to as high as 140 in recent years, fluctuating in weight, and she must have settled in at 130 that she is now calling for a fight with Alicia, who still is the woman to beat at that weight. Zerina was last in action in July of last year opposite the ring Liliana Palmera, who she beat by way of a unanimous decision in a 10-rounder. Currently, Zerina is on a 2-fight winning streak. After having dropped a decision to Carice Brown in August of 2023, Zerina has fought 2 times since then and won 2 times since then. She made sure to highlight Alicia's doping fiasco from over a year ago, 2 years ago. People still bring that up. They still use that against Alicia, even though she was cleared. And by all rights, she was never actually suspended and never actually faced any penalties for what happened. In spite of that, people still like to use it to take shots at her. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, that's what they say. And Alicia has been the most dominant force at 130 pounds for a while now, so naturally people are going to call her out. Zerina is calling her out. Is it a fight that I think Zerina is ready for? No. Is it a fight that I expect Zerinia McCoy to land? No. I give Alicia about one more fight at 130 before she moves up to 135, where there are that many more fights and that many more big names. I think that after the Layla Boudoir fight, Alicia is going to move up, and thus I don't expect her to give Zerinia the time of day. The most Zerinia can hope to do is fight in the necessary eliminators to position herself to pick up one of those titles after they go vacant. To achieve relevancy, that's what she's got to do, and she hasn't fought in a year. Her last fight in July of last year was the only fight that she had last year. It's been a year since then. Zerina did indicate that she's been injured for a bit, and she means to return. She means to come back. Well, obviously, you can't come back with somebody like Alicia. Not that I expect her to. There is a lot more work that needs doing. Zerina is a talented young fighter. I've talked about her a good number of times here on the channel. Even interviewed her once or twice. A sparkling personality, charismatic fighter. In the ring, she's best described as a pure boxer, a mover, a jabber, fighting out of the southpaw stance. She's got ability, but next to no shot of landing an Alicia Baumgardner fight. I think she's barking up the wrong tree, as the kids like to say. What kids? Kids in the 1950s? Riff, motherfucker. She's not going to get a Baumgardner fight just because she asks for a Baumgardner fight. Alicia Baumgardner has bigger fish to fry. Just being honest, I would like to see Zerinia McCoy in there with some common opponents between her and Alicia, say Elham Mekhaled, Jennifer Miranda. You want to build that fight? That's how you do it. Draw attention to yourself by taking on and taking out everybody else. After Alicia moves up from 130 up to 135, that's Zerina's opportunity to emerge as the most dominant force at that weight. When the reset button gets hit in the super featherweight division and all of those titles go vacant, Zerina has to make it her mission to pick those titles up, unify them. That will draw enough attention to her that a fight between her and Alicia could become a conversation, but for now, it's just a pipe dream. As stated, she's not on Alicia's radar, and you're not going to get the fight just because you ask for it. There's nothing wrong with asking for it. I'm just telling you, you're not going to get it. Not right now. Men's super middleweight news, Diego Pacheco, Tito Mercado return, December 13th in California. Matchroom Boxing's calendar for the end of the year is beginning to take shape. Eddie Hearn told The Ring that the UK-based company will return to the United States in December. That will be on the West Coast, and it will be another big card, said Hearn. Diego Pacheco will fight on that card. There will be some World Championship fights on there, and some of our other top talent. We are ending the year very strong. I think you will see our best schedule ever. A source informed of Matchroom's plans told The Ring that the event is slated to land in California with either LA or Stockton as the location. Matchroom has last held a show in California in August of last year at Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson. Pacheco, who's born and raised in LA, headlined the event and scored a 6th-round knockout against Maciej Suliecki. Pacheco, 24-0 with 18 KOs, has fought 2 times since then, scoring a unanimous decision against Steven Nelson in January and a unanimous decision against Trevor McCumbee in July. So if he returns in December as planned, that will be his 3rd fight this calendar year, and that's what I want to see. I want to see unbeaten up-and-comers like Diego fight 3 and 4 times a year if they can. Those are the guys that need to be active the most because those are the guys that are still building their brands. Also set to be featured on the card is Ernesto Tito Mercado, a 23-year-old knockout artist from Pomona, California. Mercado, 17-0 with 16 KOs, told The Ring that he's prepared to fight on this card against an opponent still yet to be determined. Mercado made his Matchroom debut in January by knocking out former title holder Jose Pedraza in just 4 rounds. He was supposed to return in June but pulled out of his planned fight after an injury before fight week. This is what Diego needs to do, what Matchroom needs to do. Showcase your other fighters, your other talent, that next generation of boys and girls, because there are so many topics in the sport of boxing that have since gone stale. You know, it's not a secret that some of the biggest draws in the sport are now entering the twilight years of their careers, and they've got 1 foot halfway out the door. You aren't talking about Terence Crawford. You aren't talking about Canelo, not just those two, but Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, to a lesser extent, and Gervonta Davis, who said he means to retire after the upcoming Jake Paul fight. So you have a good number of big names in the sport that are set to retire in the not-so-distant future. You need to introduce the boys and girls that are going to fill those shoes, and those are big shoes to fill. That next wave of champions that will usher in the next generation of boxing. It just so happens that young Diego, he's ranked at number 3 by way of the WBO. Ranked at number 1 is Saul Canelo Alvarez. Of course, Terence Crawford, who just beat him, is the reigning champion. But we all know that Terence Crawford is not likely to stay at super middleweight. In all likelihood, he's going to drop those belts and move down or move on from boxing. Irrespective of how he moves and where he moves, he's not likely to stay at 168. The brown belt could soon go vacant. All the more reason for Diego Pacheco to hold his position and continue to climb up those ranks. Currently, he's ranked at number 3. Hamza Shiraz is ranked at number 2. Canelo is ranked at number 1. Hypothetically speaking, if Canelo Alvarez were to fight Hamza Shiraz in his next fight in May of next year, once he's recovered, you know that fight could be for the vacant WBO title. If Terrence vacates that title between now and May, Canelo and Hamza could end up fighting for it, hypothetically speaking. And by the time that happens, Diego Pacheco might be ranked at number 1 in a pole position to challenge who's ever holding that title at that time. Just some things to think about. I've seen Diego. Pretty fucking good. He's tall for the weight, long for the weight, got the kind of physical dimensions to where one day he could see himself campaigning as a light heavyweight. Though he's at super middle right now, very young and unbeaten. The resume is coming along. Unbeaten? Unbeaten, you fucking asshole. Exhibits good range control behind his lead hand. He knows how to use it to manage the distance and manage his opponents. He's got good power, a strong backhand. Fast emerging as one of the somebodies at 168 pounds. Perhaps one of the next champions. Perhaps the next WBO champion. Behind Terrence Crawford. Things are still fluid, immaterial, and we're all not sure. But Diego Pacheco is set to be returning to action before this year is out in December against an opponent that has yet to be announced. Over to the reigning WBO champion, Terrence Crawford, who says it was disrespectful of people to say Canelo was going to stop me. Terrence Crawford pinned plenty of bulletin board material as fuel for his fire ahead of his fight with Canelo. He's too small, he can't handle the power, he won't be able to go toe-to-toe. Shit, I thought some of those things. He's too inactive, the stage would be too big. Crawford, 42-0 with 31 KOs, crushed all the hopes in tremendous fashion by stepping up 2 weight classes to beat Canelo for the undisputed super middleweight crown at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas earlier last month. Well, I wasn't trying to disrespect Terrence Crawford by saying some of those things, because I'm guilty of saying some of those things myself. That was just acknowledging that Canelo's been the most dominant force at 168 for at least 5 years now. Terrence had no experience there, and he was inactive. He is older. It seemed like a lot. And if you're an old cynic like me, who's not a big believer in fairy tales, you might have thought something similar. And that's not out of disrespect of Terrence, it's asking a lot. It's not the kind of thing that often happens. Terrence Crawford became a 5-weight world champion and a 3-time undisputed champion at 140, 147, and now at 168. He didn't have to agree to fight me, Crawford said on 4th and 1 with Cam Newton. The most disrespectful thing was when people were saying he was gonna knock me out in 3 rounds, and I was too small. I looked at that as disrespectful. I was never dropped or knocked out before, so what made them think that I was gonna get knocked out? It's what they already saw happen to other fighters who jumped up 2 weight classes, Terrence. What they saw happen to Amir Khan when he jumped up 2 weight classes for Canelo. What they saw happen to Kell Brook when he jumped up 2 weight classes for Gennady Golovkin. They see you jumping up 2 weight classes and they figure same thing's gonna happen. People were disrespecting and discrediting my skill set just because Canelo was an all-time great. But like I said before, he hadn't fought Terrence Crawford yet. While recounting the clash, Crawford said he felt that he was in control from round 1 and that he won the first 4 on the scorecards. 2 of the judges saw it differently, however, giving Alvarez 2 of those rounds, while the other gave the Mexican star 1. The fight was a draw going into the 11th round on 2 of the judges' scorecards, and Crawford made sure there wouldn't be controversy by sweeping the last 2 for all 3 judges. Crawford got comfortable as the fight went on because Alvarez wasn't able to hurt him. I'm not gonna lie, it was the 2nd round and I was like, he doesn't punch as hard as everyone says, but you still have to be cautious. I think the main reason that Terrence Crawford didn't get to feel the full brunt of Canelo Alvarez's power is because he worked so hard to negate it. He didn't make himself a stationary target. He didn't stand in one spot for very long, and he had his wits about him. That if Terrence thinks Canelo didn't punch that hard, maybe it's because Terrence did such a good job of negating his power, never really felt it, and that's a good thing. He continued, I'm not gonna lie, it was in the 2nd round, and I was like, he doesn't punch as hard as everyone says, but you still have to be cautious. In my mind, he's trying to make me fall asleep. He's trying to hit me with punches that are not too hard, and I'm like, I can take that, and he comes up with a hard shot, like boom, gotcha. So I was definitely aware, cautious, and fighting my fight. once the fight settled in, there was nothing he could do then.
I've noticed a lot of talk in boxing circles of a rematch between the two, mostly from Canelo Alvarez fans asking for it, a shot at redemption. I don't think a second fight would go any differently. Not that there's going to be one. Canelo didn't say he wanted a rematch, and Turkey's not talking about one.
This is the gloves of the champ. He gave it to me, and this is important gift from him. It's mean a lot to me. We do it. I like the logo.
Yeah.
It's very, very beautiful logo. The champ, the champ have a lot of surprise for his city and for the future. He want to rest now for 1 or 2 months. Then we will tell you the surprise.
For sure.
Thank you.
Would seem that Turkey and Terence are definitely planning something, perhaps a big homecoming send-off for Terence in Omaha, Nebraska. A lot of people are getting carried away with Terence's performance in the sense they keep assuming that he's going to go on another undisputed run at middleweight, which would be nice. I would like to see it, but I'm not sure that's what he has in mind at 38 years old.
Talk about a homecoming fight. That could be a homecoming send-off. That could be a swan song for Terence Crawford. I'm just not sure that he has another year or year and a half of fighting, of training camps at this age. He's made more than enough money to retire on. He has more than enough of a legacy that the moment he retires, he could be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
The prevalent assumption that's out there is that Terence will continue to fight on beyond this year. And yeah, maybe he will for one more fight, but I don't know about 2 or 3. I don't know about another undisputed run. It seems like asking a lot. It's been about 3 or 4 weeks since Terence's big win over Canelo Alvarez, and now that the performance and the dust has had time to settle,
It's not that I wouldn't want to see Terence continue to fight on. It's just that another part of me wants him to go out on a high. Like so many boxers don't get the opportunity to do so. Leave the sport on a high and retire on their own terms, with plenty of money in the bank.
there are pros and cons to both. That if Terence Crawford decided to retire right now, he would go out on a career high off of a career best win, having made the most money he ever made for a single fight.
A fairy tale ending. Well, that's a good thing because you don't often see that in the sport of boxing. On the other end, if he decided to continue fighting,
Stays in the sport a while longer, maybe he could sort of, at least for a little while, settle into being the face of boxing. Some people believe that because he beat Canelo Alvarez, he is now the face of the sport. Well, for him to be the face, he's got to keep fighting.
can't be the face if he retires.
I'm supportive of whatever it is Terence Crawford decides to do next, but I'm skeptical by nature, and I'm skeptical that he's going to go on another undisputed run at this age. I'm not sure about that. It would be monumental.
But I'm not sure that's what they have in mind for what remains of Terence Crawford's career.